Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, this is Mushiri. We shall get started in just a bit. Just some final setup, and we are good to go. Hi Lilian, yes, we are on just dealing with a small technical difficulty here. Should be done in like the next minute or so. And then we'll be on with the slides online. Hi Lilian, yes, we are on. So good afternoon. My apologies for the late start. Um, we are delighted to have you joining us today for this short learning event that's here and on live stream on YouTube. We have from LDRI, we have the team that's been working on the village-based advisors work, who will be sharing a little bit about the experience. And I know we also have colleagues from AGRA on the call and other partners we've been working with who have been very, very gracious in making available to us the kind of technical support and inputs that brought us this far. So maybe we could start with a quick round of introductions, seeing as we are a manageable number that is on Zoom, and also for the benefit of those who are streaming live on YouTube. We have maybe we can start with the introductions from the team here. Sitting with me on my, what side is this? On my right. Who are you?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Isabel Wayake. I'm the project coordinator for the VBA project at LDRI. Thanks.
Excellent, thank you. And you?
Good afternoon, my name is Judith Mumba. I'm the project assistant for the VBA project.
Excellent, thank you so much. And I know Veronica, you're there?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Veronica Kariuki, working as the project assistant in the VBA project. Thanks.
Asante sana. So from here down my list, Paul, I can see your mic is hot. Maybe you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Mushiri. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paul Seward, and I work for AGRA as head of extension and capacity building based here in Nairobi. So we really look forward to your learning event today. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you very much. Edna? Edna, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edna Kangogo. I'm a student. I'm so happy to be here. I'm looking forward to this interactive session and learning. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Edna. So may I ask, student from which institution?
University of Nairobi, School of Agriculture and Veterinary Medicine.
Oh, karibu. Always happy to have friends from Kabete in the house.
Thank you.
Next on my list here is John, the only John in the house.
Good afternoon, Mushi and LDRI team. I must say, excited for this event.
Then it seems to be some trouble with your audio. We can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, way better.
Yeah, I'll take my next.
Okay, then it's fallen to pieces again.
Sorry.
All right, so maybe we can have that on chat. But John Masheri is the country manager for AGRA. So happy to have you. Who else? Next on my list, Lillian.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lillian Kichuru. I work with John Masharia in the Kenya country team with AGRA. Yeah, Associate Program Officer, happy to be here. Thank you. And I'm also a Kabete alumni.
Oh, excellent. Karibu sana. Mary.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Salim. I'm the executive assistant at the LDRI. Glad to be here.
Oh, karibu sana, Mary. Milka.
Good afternoon. My name is Milka Njoroge. I work for Bayer East Africa in the customer marketing organization.
Thank you, Milka, for joining us. Happy to have Bayer in the house. One of our favorites out there in the field. Veronica already said her bit, so maybe the other person in the room left, Victor.
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Victor Werimo, and I am the research intern here at the Local Development Research Institute. And I'll also be doing tweets as we go. Looking forward to a very informative session. Thank you, Shiri.
Thank you, Victor. And what's the hashtag for this for today's meeting?
So today we're using two hashtags. One is a hashtag SDG2. The other one is the hashtag VBA for extension. The VBA is capital, then 4 for the number 4 extension. I can share with you in the chat.
Asante sana. So it's, just to make sure that we make the most of the time we have available, we're moving to the next part of our agenda. And I'd probably first check, oh, and I've been told I've not introduced myself. So maybe I should start from there. My name, not entirely as it is on my ID, is Mushiri Nyaga. I'm the Local Development Research Institute's Executive Director. I spend most of my days thinking about improving outcomes on hunger, poverty, and inequality. Probably one of the few people in the room who eat, sleep, and think about data and data systems. But delighted to be here, delighted to be working with very, very, very smart people on what sometimes seem like very, very wicked problems. And as we get started, and as we've seen in the house, we have some of our supporters, institutions that have been very key to our work, and of course, Kabete alumni. Always happy to have you in the house. And I'd probably just find out if from the Agra team, if there's anyone who's if you can say a few words as we like to say here, Salimia Watu. Do we have a volunteer from Agra? Paul, you've been pointed out here as the person who's the father of this approach and the whole reason we're even having this conversation.
Okay, so thank you, Mushiri. Yeah, it's as I say, it's a great pleasure to be with you today, and thank you for organizing this learning event. So just a few words about why we are doing this. So, you know, we have over the last 30 years, we've been having a real problem with extension. As a result, we don't have enough public extension workers active in the field. And we're finding at the moment an extension worker to farmer ratio of in the region of 1 to 3,000, 1 to 5,000. It varies from country to country. But as a result, the farmers don't get the knowledge and the information that they need to increase productivity. So what we've been doing at Agra is to see how do we work with government, how do we work with private sector to develop a public-enabled, private sector-led extension approach to help farmers gain the appropriate knowledge and information that they need, the practical training that they need to increase productivity. Now, we all know that productivity is still a problem in Africa. So productivity is increasing, but we still have a lot more work to do. So in Agra's current strategy, we have a target of directly improving the food security and incomes of 9 million farmers. And so that's why we are addressing this aspect of extension. How do we get the knowledge, the information across to farmers? We have excellent, very, very good research going on. We've got wonderful technology out there, but farmers are not adopting it. So what we've been doing in Kenya is to pilot this approach to support the county governments to see how they can adopt this approach and implement it to directly improve the food security of their farmers. In this particular program with LDRI, we're working with the Kiambu and Embu counties. And the target over 2 years is to directly reach 225,000 farmers through 700 VBAs. And so I look forward to your presentation to see the progress that you're making. We are really, really excited by your approach and the way you're working together with these two counties. And then we'll see how do we learn from this and to take it to the other counties and see how we can take this to scale to make Kenya a food secure nation. So thank you very much. We look forward to your learnings.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Yeah, thanks very much. So just a few comments from my side. Thank you.
Yeah. And of course, as I found out on multiple occasions in the last month, that you are also called Mr. Bebejega, because in Kikuyu country you've become a legend, for your work there. So thank you so much. So I'd like to invite Dr. Isabel Wayaki to kind of move us to the next part of this session. Tell us a little bit about the project, the approach, and together with the team probably give us a very quick overview of what we've been learning so far, and then we can move to some quick questions and answers before we are done with the day. Isabel.
Yes, please.
Karibu.
Thank you. So again, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to take you through the presentation. I'm going to do a section of it, then I will invite my team members, Judy and Veronica, to take us through the remaining bit. So it's a good thing that Paul has done a good introduction of what led us to get involved in this project, which we are calling the VBA project. And actually, the title of the project is basically building the capacity of county governments in Kiambu and Embu counties to implement a private sector-led extension approach to improve food security of smallholder farmers. And so we are talking about food security. And one of the challenges that we have seen, just like Paul has mentioned, is the inappropriate application of technology and inputs. Sorry, Judy, please move me to the next slide. Thank you. So, so inappropriate application of modern technology and inputs, and this is mainly due to poor provision of extension services. And we note that, as Paul has mentioned, that the public extension workers to farmer ratio has been quite low. And if you look at the counties we've been working with, like for example in Kiambu, it's actually one extension farmer to about 5,000 to 7,000 farmers, which is quite high considering the recommended ratio should be 1 to about 700. So because of this, then you find that there is low productivity, and hence we end up having food insecurity. The incomes of the farmers are quite low because they are using the inappropriate technologies. And so based on that, there was a pilot that was actually done in Kiambu County from 2018. And to address these issues that we have seen. So we introduced the aspect of the VBAs, what we call the village-based advisors. And these are basically farmers in themselves who come in now to assist with the offering extension services. So we are saying if we have one extension officer to about 7,000 farmers, then many of these farmers will not be getting the correct information on gaps and everything. So we introduced the aspect of VBAs. So we get farmers who we call VBAs, village-based advisors. So they come in to supplement the work done by the public extension workers in the counties. And these VBAs, they are self-employed advisors, and so they assist the government extension agents in the dissemination of agricultural information on gaps, and also for seed selection to smallholder farmers. And in this approach, the village-based advisors approach, it looks at 5 main components. And the first thing we do is looking at the farmer needs assessment. You look at what are the needs of the farmers in the various counties. what types of, when we are training them, we do a needs assessment. Then from the needs assessment, then we are able to know these are the farmers we have, these are their needs. So then after that, we recruit village-based advisors, self-employed village-based advisors, whom we train and equip with the necessary toolkits to be able to train the farmers. And then we do what we call mother-baby demonstrations. So for the mother demos, they are done by the village-based advisors. And then now who engage the farmers, the use of ICT, we've been using a map for the VBAs to be able to register their farmers, and even for the farmers to be able to register themselves to be under the VBAs. And then there is also the aspect of partnerships. And this is where we've been able to partner with several stakeholders, one of them being seed companies. And I'm glad to see Bayer is represented here. So we've been able to partner with the Bayer. We've also been able to partner with Pioneer. We've been able to partner with the Seedco, Advanta Seeds, Western Seed, Dryland Seeds, Faida Seeds, and Paragro seed companies. So if I may just give an overview for these specific seasons, they've been able to actually provide us with about 12 tons of seed for free to be packed into small packs for baby demonstrations and also for mother demonstrations. And then we've also been able to partner with the fertilizer companies. One of them is ERA East Africa. This season specifically, they've been able to give us about 133 tons of fertilizer for mother demos by the VBAs to the farmers. So we have been able to use about 1,600 VBAs to be able to carry out demonstrations for farmers using the free fertilizer given by ERA East Africa. So we also have other partnerships. We are able to partner with the financial institutions to come in and they're able to help our VBAs who organize in groups, who are organized in groups, and when they're organized in groups, it's easier for them to get funding from the various financial institutions. We are still in talks with the financial institutions to be able to assist our VBAs. Next, please. So this project, we've gotten support from AGRA. Please move to the next slide. So we've gotten support from AGRA starting from June 2019. So we are able to implement this VBA methodology with the goal of the project being to enhance the capacity of county governments in implementing a private sector-oriented community-based extension approach to ensure farmers have access to appropriate seed varieties, inputs, varieties, and also information on good agronomic practices. And we are working with two county governments, Embu County and Kiambu County. Kiambu County, we had started a pilot, so it was an upscaling of the pilot. So the specific objectives are to improve the smallholder farmers' awareness and access to appropriate technologies. So to improve and enhance the skills of the county governments to be able to implement this VBA approach, and also to be able to train and enhance the capacity of agro dealers to increase smallholder farmers' access to agricultural inputs, and finally to build the goodwill of these county governments that we are working with to be able to improve, support, and streamline the delivery of agriculture extension services. So we are the implementing partners, Local Development Research Institute, together with Kiambu and Embu counties. Next, please. So I want to talk briefly about how we identify our VBAs. So we've been able to work very well with the county governments through the leadership of the county governments, the CEC for agriculture, the chief officer for agriculture, and the director of crops for the two counties. And these ones are led by the governor. So once the governor has bought into the idea, then they're able to give a go-ahead to be able to work with the sub-county agricultural officers, the SCOWs and the WAOs, the ward agricultural officers. And it is through these two, the sub-county agricultural officers and ward agricultural officers, that we are able to recruit the VBAs, because they assist us, because they're the ones who are in those specific wards. So they're able to help us with identification of the VBAs. Then from there, once they help us with the identification, once they give us, then we vet them one last time. Then from there, we are able to train them. And these VBAs must be, first of all, VBA must be a farmer, and they must be an influential farmer who is known in the village. And they're also a community member, and they are available. We want to ensure that these are available VBAs, that when we invite them for training, they're able to come. These are also hardworking farmers. And they are actually, the farmers in themselves actually help in identifying, because they're able to say this and so farmer are able to act as someone we can, or can be someone we can look upon. And then they're also passionate about what they do. And they are also honest, people who are able to give true information. And these are trusted people by the community, the farmers in the community. Community oriented, I think I've talked about that. And they must also be able to read and write, because it's about transfer knowledge to other farmers. So we want them to be able to read and write, because this is necessary when we are training them. So once they have been identified, we invite them for training. And what we do is that these VBAs are based in their various villages, in the various wards. And then we do trainings based in the specific wards. For example, if you have one ward in Kiambu County, we invite them to one of they usually organize themselves. So we invite them in a common place. Then we are able to train them, and we have with us the team that trains is mainly the extension officers from the county, the SCOWs and the WAOs, the ward agricultural officers. And also we invite the input companies, the seed companies and the fertilizer companies. They're able to come in and give more training. And then from there, we equip them with a VBA kit. So for knowledge and sample seed, we are able to give them flyers to be able to serve other farmers. And we also want to share videos with them, and also sample packs. We ensure that we sample seeds. We give them the packs of seeds, and also, the packs of seeds that they're able to train other farmers when they're training them. Then after the mother demos, they can also be able to serve the farmers with the various small packs. So far, we are able to do, for the baby demos, the demo packs, they are packed in 25 grams, although we've had some of them being packed up to 100 grams. The seed companies have been very generous, and they have helped us with these seed packs. This is for establishing baby demos. And then also, the VBAs themselves, they're able to establish mother demos in their own farms. Using the mother demo packs, which they weigh between 300 grams. Some seed companies have given us even up to 2 kgs, which this team is very grateful for. So this is just something I want to demonstrate how conventionally these extension services are done at the county. So you have the public extension worker who usually identify as one farmer. This is now what has been done before. You identify one farmer who is not accessible to all the farmers, but you identify someone who is probably rich, who has a large plot of land where a demo can be done. And the problem with this is that you find that farmers are not even able to access the place to be able to see the demonstration, because mostly farmers work well through you see, you learn by doing. So you see, and you're able to establish the same demo in your own farm. So this is also not very helpful also to ordinary farmers, because they don't imagine they can also do this. So you find that this demonstration, which are done maybe one farmer per village, is not very effective to be able to reach all the farmers and for all the farmers to be able to learn. And one of the challenges we've talked about is exactly what we have said, that low extension worker to farmer ratio. So we then bring in the whole village approach, where you have identified several VBAs in a village, such that a VBA is able to reach to about 100 to 200 farmers. And so you have very many VBAs who are able to reach those farmers. So you find that in a village, every farmer will be covered, because there are many village-based advisors who are able to reach about 100 to 200 VBAs, and this is per season. So then, so we are saying this approach is better, because the farmers are able to learn by doing. They see, and once they see, they can believe. So it includes every farmer, because they can be able to come and they're able to, I mean, they're able to access the demos from the VBAs, and also establish their own baby demos. And what we do, we give each farmer, what we give, we don't give one seed pack to a farmer, we give many seed packs from different companies, so that each of these farmers can be able to plant those baby demos. And it is now according to them to determine what seeds or which seed variety will I be planting, which one is doing well for my area. So if you give them like 5 of them, they're able to know this is the seed that is actually good for my land. So this has been very helpful, because at the end, if you come now and go to the next season and you're asking the farmers, so which one do you prefer? They are the ones who will now tell you, I prefer this and this seed variety. It's the one which is doing well in my area. And you find that if you look at what has been happening in the recent past, when we look at the previous seasons, you find that in terms of output, it has grown 3 times. So productivity has increased. So if you're harvesting 3 bags, now you're harvesting 9 bags. So it's been quite helpful for the farmers, and in both Kiambu and in both Kiambu and Embu counties. And so far the project is working and very helpful. So please go to the next slide. I will reach there in the introduction bit of the project. I'll ask my team members to come in and tell us how far we have gone. Veronica, are you there? Please pick
Yes,
up from how far we have gone.
Yes, I'm Veronica, and I'll be taking you through what we've already achieved and the challenges that we've encountered in the process of implementing this project. So far in Kiambu, we'll be able to cover all the 60 wards, that is 12 sub-counties in Kiambu. And in Embu, we'll be able to cover 19 wards. It's only 1 ward that we've not covered, and we intend to onboard them in the coming season. In terms of the number of VBAs we've identified and trained, so far we've trained 1,614 VBAs. That is 1,080 in Kiambu and 535 in Embu. As you can see from the statistic, in Kiambu, roughly about 55% are female and about 45% are male. And in terms of age, a huge number is above 35 years, that is about 90%. And in Embu, as you can see from the statistics, males are about 48%, whereas females are about 52%. And in terms of age, we can see most of them are above 35 years. In terms of the number of farmers accessing information on GAP, these are the farmers who've been trained by our VBAs. There are 61,739. And out of that number, 42,353 are from Kiambu and 19,386 are from Embu. In terms of the seed pack that we've distributed to our VBA so that they can be able to establish mother demo and baby demos, we've distributed roughly about 29 tons of seeds. Those are about 236,000 small packs and mother demo packs. For the fertilizer, as Dr. Oyaki has said, so far we've distributed 125 tons of both planting and top dressing fertilizer. And this fertilizer, we sourced it from Yara, East Africa. It was actually a donation from Yara. So far we'll be able to train 109 sub-county agricultural officers, ward agricultural officer, and other field extension officers. It is very critical for us to train them because we want to ensure there is sustainability of the project even when the project comes to an end. So far out of the VBAs we've trained, we've managed to train about 21 village-based agro-dealers. These are the VBAs we've chosen and invited them for a training on agro dealership, and the training was conducted by AgMark. Out of the 21, we have 4 of them who have stocked key inputs so that our farmers can be able to access input from them. Because you see now, when we are engaging the VBAs and the farmers, it's like we are creating demand, but if we don't have the supply, some of these farmers are going to go back to their old ways of doing maize farming, and therefore it is critical for us to ensure that there is supply of appropriate inputs. Also, we have some VBAs who are engaging in poultry farming. One of them is in Kiambu and 2 of them are in Embu. And so far they have been able to buy roughly about 44,000 chicks from Western Seed Company, and they have sold to other farmers and VBAs in their villages. This is very important to them because they're able to raise some income, and this income can enable them to enhance their food security. Also, we have roughly about 80 VBAs in both Kiambu and Embu County who has received Grisidia seed from Zero to Hero Company. These seeds are very important because they are leguminous and they can be able to boost yield, and also they can be used as forage to livestock because of their high content of protein. Also, we have some VBAs who received vegetable seed in the last season, 80 of them, that is 20 VBAs in Embu and 60 VBAs in Kiambu. This VBA, the vegetable seed, we received them from Safari and Africacia Seed Company. If I can take you through the challenges that we've so far encountered in the implementation of the project, most of these challenges are the ones that we've experienced, especially in this era of COVID-19. One of it was limitation in terms of movement, because once the first case was announced in Kenya, we were not able to move around and engage our VBAs in different activities in the field, but we used to communicate with them via digital platforms. Another challenge that we've encountered so far is in terms of data correction, because as I mentioned earlier, most of our VBAs are a bit old and therefore they require supervision when they are entering data in a logbook. A logbook is a book that we normally give to our VBA so that they can be able to register or rather fill in information of farmers they have issued to small packs. And also we find that because of their old age, they're not able to use our digital platform to register farmers when they are issuing them seeds. Another challenge that we encountered, especially during this era of COVID, it was inability to hold physical training, meetings, and field days. But at least now we can be able to train our VBAs, to have physical training with our VBAs, but now we have to observe the Ministry of Health guidelines. But for the field day, it has been hard for us to hold field days because you see now for the field day, we normally engage so many farmers and the VBAs. Another challenge that we've encountered is in terms of mobilization of sample input, because some of the seed companies, they normally provide us with seed when it is a bit late and in bulk and when it is not packed. And therefore we have to use a lot of time when repackaging the seeds, and therefore it may have some effect on delivery of seed to the farmers. Thank you. Now I'll invite Judy to take off.
Okay. I'll talk about the lessons learned. Yeah, my name is Judith Mumba.
Yeah, so my name is Judith Mumba, and I'll talk about the lessons learned when we have been conducting the VBA project. And the first lesson we've learned is about e-extension service provision. And as my colleague has said, due to the pandemic, it had been difficult for us to be able to conduct physical trainings and also to be able to do monitoring of activities in the field. But we have been able to overcome this as we've been able to use digital extension service delivery, whereby we engage farmers in terms of bulk SMSs. We send SMSs, extension service SMSs, like For instance, the use of gaps during the time of planting and also during the time of top dressing. So it is through the e-extension we are able to engage the VBAs and also the farmers so that we can be able to learn even the fact that we cannot be able to visit them physically. And other than the fact that we're using e-extension services, we find that most of the VBAs and farmers basically they learn more by doing in terms of the physical training. So not only have we been doing e-extension services in terms of the digital extension services, but also we've been able to do physical trainings with them. So we've combined both e-extension service and physical trainings, of course, adhering to the guidelines of the Ministry of Health in terms of the COVID-19. And through the physical trainings also, we can be able to be able to add more information, or rather disseminate more information to the farmers, as they may be able to see and they can be able to work in terms of practicals, like when they are planting, how to show them how to plant. So it becomes easier through the physical training. So we've been able to use both methods. In terms of the data challenges, especially we've been able to assign network coordinators to specific areas. And here we usually work with the prefect VBAs, whereby the prefect VBAs act as our coordinators in terms of data collection. And from the prefect VBAs, we have data clerks who work hand in hand with the prefect VBAs, such that when we need information in terms of the farmers reached, we can be able to use both the prefect VBAs and the data clerks, so that they can be able to collect the information and we can be able to get them from them. So this has been able to help us in terms of getting data, accurate data, and precise information. In terms of data collection, we've been able to inform VBAs to be able to prepare the lists in advance before seeds are being issued, so that it becomes easier during when they are giving out the small packs, they can be able to have their own record. And also we can also know how many farmers each VBA has been able to train in terms of gaps and other extension service information. So preparing the list in advance has been something which has been able to work well with us. And this has also been beneficial and fruitful to both VBAs and also to us. In terms of the mobilization of sample inputs, establishing early with inputs, input companies in terms of which companies are giving us bulk seeds in bulk, and which companies are giving us pre-packed seeds. So early communication has been able to, to help us in terms of ensuring that we know if there's some seeds which need to be repacked, so we can be able to plan additional logistics on time and be able to deliver seeds on time. So this has also lesson which we've been learned in terms of establishing clear communications early in advance. Next, collaboration with county governments. The county governments in Kiambu and Embu have been helpful in terms of identification of and recruiting of new VBAs, as they are the ones who've helped us to get the names. They provide us with the lists, and we've been able to vet together with them. And other than identifying and recruiting these VBAs who meet our qualifications, or rather the features that we require from the VBAs, they've also helped us in organizing trainings, and also they've taken part in trainings, especially the part of the good agricultural practices. Normally, they usually train the VBAs on the gaps and post-harvest handling. So they've been very helpful in terms of training and identification of VBAs. Other than that, they've also, due to the success of the project in terms of farmers realizing more yields, they've been able to use our VBAs to distribute seeds. Like last season, if I can say in the March-May season, they bought seed like Haraka 101, and they were able to distribute the seeds to the farmers in Kiambu County through our VBAs. And the VBAs and farmers benefited a lot. And also in this season, in the October, December, they were also able to procure seed, and they distributed this seed also through our VBAs. And this is through the good partnership we've had with them, and also the fact that the success of the project in terms of VBAs can be able to realize more yield, and this has been grateful in terms of the collaboration, both Kiambu and Embu counties. And also they've also helped us in distribution of seed and fertilizer, especially in the last season. And then another thing is collaboration with input companies, as my colleagues had earlier mentioned. In terms of companies, they provide us with sample seed, which we are very grateful, and sample fertilizers, and farmers are happy with the performance of this maize in the field. And this has also created a great partnership with the input companies in terms of communication and also in providing seed for us on time. And other than that, other than the seed companies, you talk about also the vegetable seeds, which we received also from African Asia and Safari. And also the zeros to heroes, where they give us the Gliricidia sepium seeds, sample seeds to the VBAs. So this has also been very helpful to the VBAs in terms of ensuring that they at least they can be able to have some more yield for their daily use. And then the impact of COVID-19 on the project. Yeah, as my colleague had said, the COVID-19 has had a very adverse impact on project activities in terms of extension delivery. As she had said, it has been difficult to hold physical trainings because of the social gatherings, and also meeting the VBAs to be able to plan with them. It had been a little bit of difficult. Other than that, also monitoring of project activities due to restriction in some areas. We had to access permits for other areas to be able to assess, or rather to monitor the project and what the farmers and VBAs are doing. But we've been able to mitigate these measures. Like for instance, in Kiambu County, they gave us permits during that time, and we were able to go to some other areas. And also last season in March, May planting season, we provided face masks and sanitizers to VBAs in Kiambu and Embu counties. And these face masks and sanitizers are, the message is to create awareness in this COVID-19, so that they may be able to take care of themselves. And also when they're going to meet farmers and train farmers, they can also be able to ensure that they are safe and the farmers are also safe. And also, if I can also, whatever has already been said about extension information via digital platforms, yeah, during the COVID-19 time, we're also engaging farmers through bulk SMSs. We now have an app, so farmers can be able to access even more information using the VBA Plus application. And other than that, we also have making follow-up phone calls to VBAs in case they have any problems, or in terms of if they have any queries, then we can be able to communicate with them. Yeah, so these are just a few photos of the trainings we've had. Like the photo to the left is a representative from Yara training VBAs in Kiambu County, and the one on the right is a representative from Apollo Insurance training VBAs from Gaturi South, Embu County. These are more photos of, you can see our Jen, our technical advisor training VBAs in Kiambu County on good agricultural practices. And on the right is, we can see a VBA doing a practical on in terms of spacing of maize seed, in terms of how they plant and how they do the spacing. Next, you see more photos of the VBAs, those who've been invited in the project. As you can see, they're posing with varieties. We provided them with the Haraka 101 and 8033 sample seeds. This is from the last season, March-May planting season. And this is from Embu. This is one of our VBA, whereby she also gave sample seeds to the two farmers, Mureithi and Wanjiru. And after they had given sample seeds, the VBAs bought 101 seeds, the 2 kg pack of 101 through the VBA Lucy. Yeah, these are still more photos from Thika Sub-County, VBAs posing as they show their maize. Lastly, this is the VBA Lucy, also one of our agro dealers, VBA who was trained to be a village-based agro dealer. She was trained last year in 2019, and in early January she opened her own agro dealer shop. And so far, she said it has been great because she's able to train farmers, and she's able to give them information in terms of planting, and what pesticides to use when they come to the shop. Thank you.
Maybe then, Isabel, you can say a few words.
Thank you, Judy and Veronica. I think I just wanted to add something on, maybe we may have left it out so that you see how these partnerships are coming in. The main value chain we were dealing with in the project was maize, but you have seen that through the various partnerships with various stakeholders, like SeedCo, we've been able to bring in the aspect of vegetable seeds, poultry. We've seen Western Seed providing one-day old chicks, tree seedlings, the Gracidia seedlings. So we've been able to, through the various partnerships we've been engaged in, we've been able to move beyond the maize. And then the other challenge, which has not been mentioned, which I would have wanted to talk about, especially when it comes also to partnerships. If you look at the agro dealers we have been able to train, and these agro dealers basically are normal VBAs, then we look at the ones who are very entrepreneuring, then we make them into VBADs, what we are calling the village-based agro dealers. And ideally, at the end of the project, we are supposed to have 50 of them. So far, we've trained 21 of them. But if you look at the ones who have been able to stock with key inputs are only 4. And one of the challenges we have faced is the issue I was talking about, lack of this financing, lack of financing for the agro dealers. And it's because of we've not been able to, or other discussions are still ongoing with the various financial institutions to be able to assist even our VBADs to be able to stock their shops with the needed or the key inputs. So that's one of the challenges we've had, that the VBADs do not have access to finance to be able to stock their shops. But we are still in partnerships, discussions with the various financing institutions to be able to see if we can overcome this. And one of them is AFC and Hand to Hand. There's another company called Hand to Hand. Thank you, Mushiri, over to you.
Thank you so much, Isabel. The Agricultural Finance Corporation has been fairly supportive, but of course they need to overcome their own requirements for due diligence and of course risk management, which tends to be one of those areas that still require work. I think this is also a sector-wide issue, just finding ways of de-risking smallholder agriculture enough for the financial sector to make the necessary investments. And I think that's always going to be an area that requires more work until we can overcome whatever it is that keeps that from happening. Some of which I believe has to do with data and other de-risking mechanisms that are required. But this, of course, remains an area of great interest for us. I know I'm speaking to the choir on this, but the VBA approach and the way we've seen and the signals we've seen and the outputs we've seen so far are extremely encouraging. I think as a methodology for closing the gap for access to extension services, closing the gap for access to appropriate and affordable inputs, I don't think there's any better approach currently on the planet. I think we are seeing something here that has already been tested, and AGRA has supported this approach in a number of countries already. So I think the evidence is there that this is really something that we should all consider across many countries as a way of improving food security for smallholder farmers. As we go on, we continue to adapt and change. The scale for this, as you have seen from the presentation, changed mid-project. We're now in a whole lot more VBAs than we had initially expected. We're having to innovate around how to manage this amazing resource people who are volunteering their time and their efforts to support farmers. That's the other thing we're looking at now, probably targeting 150,000 possibly new farmers in just one season, double the amount of farmers, easily double the amount of farmers we've interacted with in the last year alone. So of course, these have attendant challenges on infrastructure, human resource, etc. And we're finding there are opportunities for innovation now that make it possible to overcome this. So as a place where we seek to learn, we are happy to learn and move as we go, and we are fortunate to have partners who are happy to learn with us as we make this journey. Maybe as a quick. Before as we open up for any questions, any input, maybe I'd ask the team, to kind of speak to the onboarding of VBAs. I know we set out with a criteria at the beginning based on lessons learned from other projects and other partners who've worked with this approach in the past. We're attempting to do this a bit differently, working with the public sector to try and eventually onboard this as part of normal extension in the public sector. But what would we do, or should we be doing differently with the selection of VBAs, taking into account some of the things that we're now looking at? Have there been any lessons? I'm throwing them a caveat. You should see their faces. No, but seriously, thinking about some of the challenges we have with technology adoption, etc. Are there any insights that anything we could add, or we should be thinking about adding to our criteria for VBAs? Anything come to mind? Veronica, anything come to mind for you?
I think we should try and engage more of young people, because you see now with the old people, it may be hard for them to adopt some of the technologies that you're using, especially the VBA plus application. So it is good if we can be able to engage more young people, even though most of them have shifted to towns to seek for employment.
Yeah, so maybe there's an opportunity for us to think about the VBA approach as an employment creator in the rural areas.
Exactly.
Yeah, which not to sell the plot, but is a very imminent effort that we are working on as well. All right, so maybe I could open this up to questions, comments. Anyone with some inputs that they'd like to share, some thoughts? Oh, and welcome to everyone who's joined since we started. Dixon, I see you there. Karibu sana. Always happy to see alumni. Anyone? And of course, Jemima joined. Jemima, thank you so much for joining. Maybe you can say something small about the technology we are working on with you guys in like 2 minutes.
Hi everyone. He wasn't planning to talk, but thank you very much. I think Lillian.
I'm the mayor of throwing people under the bus. Don't worry.
Yeah. So thank you so much for a great presentation. Good to see how the VBA program is going very well. So we have been trying to digitize the VBA program in such a way that we have a chatbot on SMS, short code 40139. It's available on WhatsApp and Telegram. So because of, in the process of digitizing this program, we have enabled a farmer to access the gap information, the fall armyworm information on seeds, weather forecast, among other features. And this also was a way to empower VBAs in terms of registering farmers communicating with their farmers, whereby they can be able to send messages directly through the chatbot, as well as tracking the number of farmers they have under their care. We're still working on onboarding most of the VBAs, as well as trying to get farmers to not only be registered on the platform, but try to interact with the chatbot and get content on it. I don't know, the LDRI team, feel free to give us feedback since you've been in the field. What are the challenges? And I know we've mentioned that we should try to have the youths engaged to adopt technology. I'm open to feedback too.
Thank you, Jemima. I think in some ways we're probably on the digital front coming up against the same basic challenge that we have. What is this widely quoted statistic about the average age of a farmer in Kenya as being something in the 60s. And that does tell us, if should that data still hold, it means that that's the constituency that we are trying to move or nudge towards slightly more digital approaches. So I think this is going to, for me, I think we're all doing the best we can, how we can. Other partners in the space, I know, in conversation with, continually struggle with this. I think it's just about managing our expectations, and of course, remembering that we're not using technology to disintermediate, our extension workforce, but this is really an augmentation, a support tool that helps move information to a broader constituency, even when distance is a challenge. And of course, the fact that digital approaches do allow us to get a little more data for decision making, for resource allocation, and then for planning. But in the meantime, I think for all of us, it just means more boots on the ground. It means thinking about paper backup where possible. Of course, paper backup won't work for WhatsApp and Telegram. But just finding ways to nudge more and more of our farmer constituency onto the platform. But I think it's definitely going to be a journey, and it's not one that we're going to complete in a year. This is a long haul game. But we're looking to learn as well, Jemima, and we're happy to that. But we are on this journey with you. Anyone else? Paul, I see your mic is hot.
Yeah, thanks, Mushiri. Thank you, LDRI team. Very good presentation. My question is, this program the aim is to improve food security. How are you tracking? You're doing some very good extension work, but how are you tracking adoption and improvements in crop productivity of the smallholder farmers that we're targeting? And what is the lessons you're learning around that? I mean, you have indicated that there are some challenges getting the right seeds to the farmers, the right inputs. But from what I've seen when I've gone out to the field, I'm seeing terrific changes in terms of crop productivity. So how are you gathering that information as evidence for us to prove that this approach is working, it's having good benefits for the farmers, and that it's a very cost-effective approach too? And the other thing is, what information are you getting from the seed companies and the fertilizer companies in this regard? Are you tracking also the increased sales of the fertilizers and the seeds within the counties to triangulate the adoption of inputs? Thank you very much. And yeah, I can see Milka is here. and she, Milka works for Bayer, and she can maybe add a few words. I know she's been out to the field lately to gather this kind of information, so maybe she could say a few words as well.
No, thank you, Paul. Milka?
Yeah, good afternoon to all of us, and thank you to the LDRI team for sharing the insights from the pilot you have been conducting in Kiambu and Embu. Indeed, I had a number of questions as well, and to also just, correlate to what Paul is saying. Obviously, I believe since I think you started the pilot when you first engaged in 2018, 2019, we focused a lot more on the extension part of supporting the smallholder farmer. So how is that supposed to progress? So 2 years later, 1 year later, will that still be a focus area, or are we going to graduate, let's say, the topic to, like we are saying, either linkage to sales or, or whatever the next KPI would be? And that's because even where we are requested to provide information as to sales achieved, we can't, because there was never really a sales KPI, when we're providing the inputs. So that's one, and it will be just good to know, what are possibly 2-3 key focus area for 2021 that maybe LDRI has in plan. Moshiri, you have mentioned looking at the 150,000 additional farmers. Are you seeing this also coming from the 2 counties, or or are you considering maybe an additional county, to be able to get to this number? Is that something that's in the pipeline? So that we say, we've done about 2, 3, 4 seasons in these 2 counties, and we've learned something that we can then scale up possibly to also be able to reach this new target. I also indeed picked the discussion around the age, of the VBAs. And I also must admit that obviously when you normally recruit the first time and you invite us to conduct the trainings, we, in most cases, just come the first time and don't come again. And I'm not so sure, a very old, VBA after a while, we'll kind of remember they might need a refresher. How do we ensure that there's also frequency in our training, so that we follow up the inputs provided at that point and subsequent use of them, and even change it in the conversation? But there's something that Dr. Isabel said at the beginning, and one of the 5 top things you look at in the VBA program is the farmer needs assessment. What is coming up? What is it that farmers are looking for? And is it therefore anything that we are doing as companies addressing that? Or are we just providing inputs but not necessarily trying to answer some of the needs that you could have already established as a result of running the program? I think on the last point, I was happy to note as well that, you are definitely considering digital platforms. And I know here we are all questioning whether, because of the age, the uptake and utilization of those platforms is yet optimized. But even as we endeavor to enhance that, we do have a lot of content. How can we contribute to that content where we know that this is the theme being promoted, for example, this particular period? What is it that we have as companies that we can provide? Because we have a lot of this that we are more than happy to provide as well, to be enhanced or put out through other platforms. Moshiri, I hope you're able to capture a bit of everything that I said. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. No, I've gotten a lot of good help over here, and I've been farming out. I've been farming out the questions. So I'll tackle a little bit about the digital tools and some of the tracking. My colleague Steve couldn't make it today because of competing engagement, but he has shared a bit about where in terms of the M&E and some of the technology overlaps lie, and what's looking forward. I mean, what we're looking forward to going forward. So maybe let me just start with an old quote by Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And I think that was our first. That's our experience from our first season, 2019, when this project started. We had a plan. It was going to be a bit more digital heavy. we were going to have everything collected via USSD, and it seemed like a very viable plan, and we got punched in the mouth. So that made that first season a bit problematic for us in terms of being able to track some baselines from that cohort, and going forward, allowed us to see where the adjustments need to be made and how to make them really quickly. So this goes to Paul's question around tracking productivity, technology adoption, etc. As it stands right now, we're looking at, and Judy and Veronica have been working on this, a survey to help us close the gap. And then, of course, we're going to be using some new volunteers working with other VBAs to try and get some of the adoption data as well. And the reason is this takes about 2 seasons for us to get the information we want. So for instance, first season of 2020, we gave a number of farmers small packs. Those farmers planted the small packs, generated some experience, some evidence for themselves about what varieties work best for them. In the next season, they will now make a decision about what to buy or not. So at some point in July, August, September, an exercise would be carried out to try and figure out how many of those farmers went on and changed their behavior when it comes to what seeds they were purchasing for planting. Then the next conversation happens, in this last part of the year, when now you're going back to check what was the difference in the productivity post harvest of their new choice. So that's where those data points would come from. So in the absence of in the amount of time it took for us just to get the data off paper from the first cohort, unfortunately for us, it took so long that we connected, the 2 seasons ended up connecting with each other. And before we knew it, we were packing and distributing small packs again before we had managed to put everything together. So this last part of the year is going to be spent closing those data gaps, and working with domain experts to make sure that our tool is scientifically sound. So we'll have probably in the first quarter of next year data on 2020 in regards to technology adoption and the associated increase in yield. However, there are farmers who will be reporting on that indicator who may not have adopted new technologies, but just the change in behavior on agricultural practices may have yielded some gains. So we'll be looking out for that as well as we go on. When it comes to scale and value chains, a lot of that is definitely on the table. We are looking at extending our reach beyond the 2 counties. The 150K farmers we're talking about are in just the current counties we are working in Kiambu and Embu. In Embu, once the former deputy governor became the governor, and His Excellency Dr. Nyoro was now sitting at the helm, it became politically difficult for us to continue working only in some parts of the county, seeing as he was not only a big champion for the project, but he was now going to put some of the support of his government behind making sure that the approach reaches every farmer. So that means that we scaled immediately, to the rest of the county. And that puts us now at 1,000+ VBAs in Kiambu alone. And of course, we expanded in Embu, but I think we are still not in every part of Embu. Oh, I think except one part of Embu, we're in just about every place. So that whole scale up in both counties kind of happened post start, and has had quite some lessons for us in terms of what it actually takes to roll out a VBA project at scale in a Kenyan county in the context of devolution. So one of the knowledge products we're working to produce probably before the end of the year is a little bit of an understanding of what the cost for something like this actually is. So that as we look at expanding into new counties, we are ready for the end at the beginning. That should we start in a county with just a few wards, should this be very successful in 2 seasons, that would be ready to scale to the rest of the county in a heartbeat. So that's really something that we are looking at internally, and we're having discussions, and AGRA as also together with county, we've had some discussions on what scale up could look like. Fortunately, we have counties that are very happy to champion this to other counties, so we have advocacy support there that is going to prove to be quite useful. On tracking conversion of sales, as Milka said, that wasn't a KPI that we had been looking at, as both from our partners on this input side and of course for us going out into the ground. But it is an area that we have prioritized now. So in 2021, what you can look out for are a couple of things. One, we are exploring rolling out proper support for on sale of inputs by VBAs, taking into consideration the regulatory and policy issues that go with that, so that we are able to help our VBAs and VBADs participate along those value chains for whichever priority commodities we pick. Even when they may not have the infrastructure and financing to do it at the level of a proper agro dealer. So that is something we're looking at to do in 2021, and that'll do a couple of things for us. One, it'll allow us also to see the level of adoption that we are getting at point of sale before we have to do any extensive data collection on the ground in terms of surveys, etc. So that means we would have the journey of a farmer from the point when they're onboarded to the small pack to actual purchase of a 2 kilo pack, a minimum at least we'll be looking at. So that'll help us close that chain a little bit better. Consequently, that will also allow us to provide our private sector partners with granular data on how sales are performing, where we're seeing interest, where product is moving, and to the extent that we can contribute that data to the rest of their supply chain, that might help provide some very interesting insights in terms of what causes, with demonstrated causality, how our work is contributing to increase in sales in those areas. And for me, I think the big challenge here has been, how do we do that in a way that we can demonstrate causality? And that's kind of like the base that we're working with there. Closing that sales data gap is a priority, and one that we are working to field test this last part of the year and roll out at scale in 2021. The focus on extension is going to remain a core thread across our work. But we are also going to be working with counties to try and make the VBA approach as much as possible the default part of their way of doing business. It's granted some parts of the VBA approach as we do it might not be easily onboarded by a county government, in which case we'll be looking at the kind of partnerships counties can get into with partners such as us or other input companies to maintain the full experience of the VBA approach as farmers and VBAs have been experiencing it at this time. So that might have an impact on the cost of actually doing something like this. By dropping it significantly, it'll improve engagement, so that we don't have to incur additional human resource costs in monitoring of VBAs and downstream management of the volunteers in terms of what they're being able to provide as services for their farmers. That scale and that onboarding and that work with government is also something that we are already on a roadmap towards, and some counties like Kiambu have already gone quite a ways in terms of thinking this through and trying to make it work. So that I think that kind of captures what we're looking at in the next year. We're also looking at closing the digital gap by not necessarily forcing our farmers to onboard tech, but also looking at options as, how can we have young people, more digital savvy VBAs working alongside other VBAs to help them deal with what is easily going to become a digital imperative for our work. So that's also something we're exploring for 2021, potentially piloting that in the first season of next year in a number of wards, just to see the extent to which that is actually possible. And I think I will allow the team to address the issues around training, etc., even as we come to the top of the hour. Isabel?
Yeah, I can talk about training, but maybe before I go to training, I can add something on the support that we still need from the seed companies. And if you look at a county like Kiambu, which has about 2.4 million population, with over 50% of them being farmers. So if you look at the numbers we have reached so far, about 100 and something, 100 and for Kiambu County only, maybe about 100, let's say 150,000. It tells you that we still have quite a lot of farmers to still reach. So we will still come to you with the request to support us with the small packs, so that we can ensure that we are still reaching more farmers in the counties, even as we think of upscaling to other counties. In terms of the frequency in trainings, we usually do refresher trainings every season. Even the ones we had trained during the previous seasons, we usually still train them when we are training the new VBAs. So, and we usually invite the seed companies, the input companies to come and train with us. So maybe Milka, I can say that we do these refresher trainings, and we usually invite your companies to come and give the trainings every other season. You had mentioned something about farmers' needs assessment, and you would have wanted to know what is coming up as we do this. And one of the things the farmers have been bringing out over and over again is inavailability of seeds on time. And if, for example, farmers think in a certain area, they come up with the conclusion that maybe let's use 8033 is the best seed variety for us for this area, then you find that in some areas, the agro dealers maybe do not stock that specific variety. So the farmers in that area do not know where to get the seed variety that is working for them. So and that's why we are training these agro dealers to also become VBADs and to be stocked with the key inputs. And we are hoping that we can be able to link them up with the various input companies, and even as we get more support from the finance institutions for them to be able to set up shops, so that they can be linked up with the input companies to be able to provide these inputs on time, because that's one of the key challenges which has been mentioned by the farmers. I think that is the main critical one I would like to mention for now. I'll ask Judy and Veronica, is there anything you would want to add based on our experience in the field? Veronica? Oh, I think she's out. Is Veronica in?
Yeah, Veronica, you muted.
Okay, maybe anyone from the team would want to add something on this farmers' needs assessment? Okay.
Maybe because of time, we'll probably just respond to this couple of questions on the chat box as we come to a close. One, Eunice asking whether we are expanding to other counties. Yes, there are advanced conversations about moving to additional counties. And Edna asking whether you consider the VBA approach sustainable. I know I'd answer for us and say, yes, we believe it is sustainable. We just need to find the right business models for whichever context that it is being done in. Because I think the partnerships and the enabling environment for various value chains or various countries make make a contribution to how sustainable using farmers at that last mile of extension works. But in the Kenyan context, we believe it is, and we believe there are business models that make it quite sustainable. Are we working with any chemical? Are we considering working with chemical companies? So at the moment, we've talked to Palagro or Kenagro. And yeah, so crop protection products are definitely an important piece, especially when we have still not so many in our constituency who are pure organic farmers. So yeah, so chemical companies definitely. And happy to have conversations. If you know anyone with fantastic products that they'd like to have a conversation with. But we're also working with fertilizer companies. In this case, EARA have been the most prominent partner, but we're hoping to have new additional partners, some partners who are there in the past, in the pilot phase, who will be reaching out to in the next year to kind of bring them back into the fold, and move things to the next level. Do tech. Yeah, and not possible partners being whispered to me here. But yes, chemical plant protection, crop protection is definitely on the table. Yes, and Dixon highlighting the challenges and big issues around agrochemicals. Yeah, and for us, I think maybe that's one of the reasons we've been a bit slow with going hard on crop protection and eventually on livestock protection, because these are a bit more regulated in terms of sales and distribution. So we have to be quite careful about how we engage with VBAs and our farmers around this space. But we are happy to work with partners around this to scale up access to appropriate protection products. So thank you very much. We've come to the end of today's session, a few minutes over time, but also a few minutes late today. Apologies for that, as we struggled with a small technical difficulty. The session is been on our live stream on YouTube, and will be available online later. And Victor will be promoting it as well to our networks and partners who couldn't join us today for one reason or another. Towards the end of the month, we're hoping to organize a second one of this in what is quickly becoming a short series. That will be a bit more policy heavy and looking at what this actually means for the public sector in terms of our efforts to end hunger. And also be on the lookout for a session we hope to organize also towards the end of this year on the digital tools. And by that time, the AgriBot, the AgriBot will be up and running, which is the collaboration we have with Microsoft and Agra that Jemima was talking about. That will be an interesting opportunity for all of you to see what that looks like, and also to see how the different technologies are working together. VBA Plus application, the bot, and whatever other tools and products will be available in our conversations with other partners. And I know also some of our input companies have products. I know Yara have Yara Connect. They're also trying to push out gap information to farmers and provide loyalty point systems, etc. We're keeping an eye on that to see any ways that we can make part to our farmers as well as our VBAs. And then Bayer, Milka, if Bayer has something on the ground that you think we can help promote, or something that we can integrate with, we're happy to do that. We have the benefit of having the technology capacity for a lot of these things. So I think we shall end it there, and mine is to say a big thank you to this team that work tirelessly, literally tirelessly. I get tired watching them, and I'm hoping that we shall close the year on a high as we share the results, towards the end of this quarter on what we've been able to do. So we'll go out on some Afrofusion music, and looking forward to seeing you guys again. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good evening.